Okay, welcome back to what part two of our what's news for this week, and I'm gonna go right straight to it because I don't want to waste any time than what it is. I'm gonna start off with the Scientology story. The more I keep hearing this, the more I shake my head as to why this facility is, why they still think this is a good thing, and why an actual investigation as to their practices has not been implemented more often. But according to this report, which was done courtesy by the BI, Kerry Wiltman, the Business Insider is reporting on this. Um, Officials said Scientology facility in Cannon County, Tennessee, were closed this week after a 911 call led police to a man who said was being held against his will, but no obvious immunity for life. According to the local newspapers, I believe they call it the Canyon Crooner. The Scientology facility are closed and not operating, said in a statement of the Canyon County Sheriff Department. The coroner reported. The newspaper also reported that the department got a 911 call that allowed officers to go in the gated facility, which they observed as a double wide trailer with several tiny cabins located behind it. The man there who made the call told officers he was being held against his will, given unknown medication, according to the coroner. He told the officers that they were for rehab and to get cleansed through Scientology. The coroner report. The man told the officer he has been there for 9 months. I want you to hear this now. 9 months. Also described the man bathroom as a small room with a single bed in it. They said that the bed was bare except for one sheet that he covered up with, and that the bathroom is the only room with light. The man and woman who officers found while searching the facility was taken into a local hospital. 3 suspects has been charged and are in custody. Thank you. The report that the two of them entered guilty pleas on 2 counts of false imprisonment. The attorney said that the Church of Scientology didn't operate the facility. The Cannon County Sheriff Department and the Church of Scientology did not immediately respond to Business Insider request for a comment. Now, before I go on, I'm sounding surprised that the Business Insider actually took interest in this story. That's actually the weird thing about it. I thought they would be talking about business and everything else, but obviously that was wrong. I heard about the Business Insider, by the way, so that's why I'm kind of surprised that they actually have done it. It's a good actual article, but it does raise a few questions. One, it's for what I'm hearing here. It doesn't sound like the Scientology have been running this for some time. And if they did, they pretty much did a good job of making sure they cover all tracks because they haven't responded to it, and I don't expect them to respond. So I want you to keep that in mind. It's from what this report has said and what has been, what I have read. It doesn't sound like that they didn't operate, had nothing to do with it. It doesn't mean they had played a role in it. But it does raise the question: what the hell is Scientology doing? This doesn't fly well with people. And I've saw the comment sessions about this report. A lot of people said they got to take their religious status away from them. This is something that even a former star have talked about, which a lot of people are referencing it. And a lot of people are saying that this is what they feel. If you try to leave their facility, they'll try other methods to making you stay, or pretty much intimidate you and bully you and basically put you somewhere where you can get cleansed or whatever the hell it is. That's what it sounds like here. That has happened here. That this person wanted out, and they basically sent him to the facility, basically against, I don't know if it's fully against his will, but if he was held captive there and they didn't let him go, that's a problem. Now, according to this report, they have recently entered a guilty plea of 2 counts of false imprisonment, which is pretty much the right case. A lot of people say kidnapping It's kidnapping if the person was taken from one spot to another. If the person entered there, and he went on his own 2 feet, yet he can't leave because they won't let him leave, then yeah, that's false imprisonment. That's not kidnapping. It's false imprisonment. That's the difference between the two. He had to literally be dragged there against his will, and basically being tied up over this. But it basically is you being dragged there against your will. You're being taken against your will. If he went there in his own power, that's not kidnapping. But if he wanted to leave and they're not letting him, then that's false imprisonment. That's the difference there. That's the big difference right there. Now, many people said it varies from state to state. I don't think so because again, there's a difference between kidnapping and false imprisonment. He went there, but they just don't want him to leave. That's the whole difference there. That's the whole big thing about this, which makes me wonder about the conditions here. And two, rehab from what? That was the thing that really bothered me. Rehab from what? It didn't say what it was. It just said that he was supposed to be there for cleansing. What are you talking about, cleansing? Cleansing from what? Now, Scientology already, who has been on the news for a lot of heavy criticism over the years. A lot of people say they're a cult and nothing more. I'm not going to go as far as saying that. There are a lot of people who believe in Scientologies. These are a lot of celebrities who believe in Scientologies. But it does raise the question about their methods and how they go about doing things. Because again, when you have the stories about Katie Holmes and his daughter being stalked and followed by church members, which by the way, no, I don't care what church you are, you don't have the right to do that. When you're hearing stories about them basically treating other members, particularly women, as pretty much second class, third class citizens, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. It doesn't become something of a good thing. It becomes more of a cult thing, and those cults don't normally last very long. Here, they actually are more powerful than what it is. There is a Church of Scientology in New York, in the heart of Times Square, and that's fine. There was no major complaints. There's no major news story, but I'm saying just alone does raise a lot of questions, and it does raise a lot of questions to their practices and their methods, in terms of what they view things, how they view things of the world, and it really brings the question of, are they being over aggressive, over excessive, and basically being controlling to the point where it's now putting people's lives in jeopardy. Now, before I close this out, let me keep in mind that it ain't just Scientologists who have this problem. Okay, there has been reports of Christian churches doing this too. So before anybody think that it's just the Scientology, no, it's just any religious religion that's being used as a way of manipulating and control. That becomes the issue. We have stories from those who practice Judaism, to those who practice Muslim, to even Christianity, who has similar problems with their own church to anything else. So again, it could be this situation here. And Scientology ain't gonna sit there and explain themselves, especially if that one is decided to go to the extreme. They're not gonna put themselves out there and say, yeah, we endorse this. And they're not gonna do that. They're gonna keep quiet. They're gonna basically let the news stand, and they're gonna say we didn't run this thing and everything else. Then again, it makes you wonder just what the policies are. And that's what basically people are concerned about. Keep in mind, not many people, a lot of people don't like the Church of Scientology to begin with, and looking for any excuse to label them as a dangerous cult, which I've seen in the comic section. And there's 548 comics, comment section, almost all of them saying they're a cult. They need to shut down. They need to close down. Period. They need to have their religious status taken away. Their tax exempt taken away. All sorts of stuff. And yet, I also remind myself they're not the only one who had these kind of problems. A few years ago, a minister and a couple of his followers were charged with murder because the family wanted to get out of the church, and rather than just let them leave peacefully, they basically did something that was pretty much not only inhumane, but basically disgusting. They beat these two boys. One of them died from his injuries. This happened in upstate New York. We had an incident where a whole entire neighborhood was being terrorized by a group of rabbis. This was actually YouTube news. It was an incident where a guy who was so strongly, extremely believing what he believed that he actually burned this person. This was actually big news. It actually tore the neighborhood apart because some of them was actually taught not to go to the police, to go to the rabbi. Well, that didn't work out well in that scenario. So there's a whole lot of incidents and a lot of stories. It's more about power, not really much of the religion, but about the power and what people will do to maintain the power, or what they will do to inflict their power, their lust for power on others. And this is one of the, and this is one of the prime example of that. Now, again, to the defense of the Scientology Church, they said this has not been running for quite some time. So we don't know if it was actually Scientology directly who gave this order, or totally something different. But but again, you gotta wonder if Scientology actually told him to go here. If they told him he to go here, then yeah, they're just as responsible because they know what was gonna happen. You ain't gonna tell somebody to go somewhere like that, not knowing what the intentions are. 9 months. How the hell you keep somebody for 9 months? What was the purpose of that? To that other than to submit to your will. And this kind of practice, sadly, goes on in all religion. When it comes to we are religion the best way, you can't leave us. No, we won't allow that. If a person don't want to follow your faith no more, then fine, let them go. Let them go. Here, it not only is immoral, it's pretty much now it's downright criminal. Now again, they didn't comment. I don't expect them to comment, but again, Scientology, you guys are putting it. You guys are all going in the news all for the wrong reasons. You need to evaluate yourself and evaluate what you guys are doing. Now keep in mind, I want to keep this in mind. It says here in the top page of this article, Scientology facility has been closed after a man allegedly was held against his will. But if you read carefully down this line, it also says that that the Church of Scientology didn't operate the facility. So either this was a third party that they have leased out to, or these people was just doing it on their own. Either way, Scientology's name came up. It didn't look good. Let's move on to something that has actually reached my news wave and has been talked about for a while. A Texas officer fatally shot an unarmed teen has been arrested and charged with murder. This was talked about in 1010 Wins. I have the profile here about the guy. It said, according to the Dallas Daily News, the Dallas County Sheriff Department issued a warrant for the arrest of 37-year-old of a 37-year-old on Friday after Oliver turned himself in and posted bond, which was reportedly $300,000. Civil rights attorney Lee Merritt issued a statement on behalf of Edward's family, sharing how the warrant announcement brought a sense of relief but reminded them that the battle is far from over. Today has been an emotionally tense day after the family prepared for the wake of their beloved Jordan. Although this does not take away the pain caused by a loss of their son's brother and friends, the announcement that an appropriate warrant has been issued for the arrest of Roy Oliver on the charges of murder has brought a bit of relief in the time of an intense mourning. Although we realize that there remains a significant obstacle ahead, the road to justice. This action brings hope that the justice system will bend against the overwhelming weight of our frustration. Oliver was instantly placed on leave before getting fired from the Brush Springs Police Department. At the time of the shooting, the police department reported that the gunshot was heard outside the party and that the car Jordan was in moved aggressively towards the officer responding to the call about an intoxicated minor. However, the body cam of Oliver's war showed otherwise. Jordan Edwards, a high school freshman, straight a straight honors roll student, and an athlete, was struck in the head by the bullet from Oliver's RA-15 rifle. The medical examiner officers had ruled the 15-year-old's death a homicide. Now, this is why, in many ways, I support the body cam a lot more now than ever before. This is why New York City's commissioners and sergeants and lieutenants have a remind the officers who are on the beat, who is driving on the car, to show more restraints and be mindful that you're being recorded. The days of saying he said, she said is pretty much almost over when it comes to law enforcement. And the reason why is that for years they always seem to take the side of the police officers rather than the people who are saying that this officer acted aggressively and shot unwarrantedly, because there was no tools to say otherwise. They just believe in the police officers because they felt the police officer can do no wrong. Well, last 6-7 years we've seen differently, and the body cams are supposed to be that way of saying, okay, we're now seeing once and for all what's going on. It's really more to protect the officers who can be falsely accused of something than anything else. So if anybody said that this is going to be against the officers, it's not. If anything, it's supposed to help the officers, help assist the officers in terms of, hey, we was doing what we were supposed to do, and by the way, this is what this is going to show. Now, this body cam showed, because what they were saying is they backed up against him. Now, they always use that theme where if a car was acting aggressively, if a car hits another police car, that is justification of feeling that their life is in danger, and thus they took the appropriate actions that they felt at that time was necessary, meaning that they pulled the gun and shoot and ask questions later. This is something that is also true in New York, where if a movement where you're going to ram the car in, and everything else, they can use that as a justification to pull out their gun and start firing. Whether it's right or wrong, I'll leave that up to you. I already have my feelings on it. I felt that the cops need to act with more restraint. In fact, there's been cameras in other states that show that the cops can act with restraint if they want to. Even when the person is acting aggressively towards them, they can act with restraint and calming the person down, or basically restrain him that doesn't need physical and other violence. There are actual footage out there. But I also noticed something else, and this is something that I find very alarming. That it seems that that pretty much backed up what a lot of civil liberty union has been saying, a lot of civil rights activists have been saying, and that is they act more restrained towards white men, just whites period, than they would do with Hispanic and African Americans. They seem to be more aggressive towards African American and Spanish, a lot more than their white counterparts. And that's an issue to me. And the issue is, if you can show that much restraint from the person who's literally made fist to face contact with you, who is swinging at you, how come you can't show that same restraint towards a Hispanic and an African American? Why is it that the first sign of that happens, that the first thing you have to do is pull out your gun and shoot? Why is that the first thing that comes to your head? Now, according to the body cam, and here's the strange part about it, the car didn't come near him. He was leaving. He didn't even come near the police officer, the car. So he didn't need to be aggressive. If you wanted to stop the car, flash your sirens, tell the car to pull over, walk calmly to the car, even make an announcement, keep your hands on the dashboard or keep your hands on the steering wheel, and then talk. Why is it that the first order you see a car moving, whether it's forward or backwards, is to pull out your gun and start firing? Because there is a policy and a stereotypical view that says, again, that we need to be aggressive towards the Hispanic and African Americans because they are the most violent. And we have to act the same way if they will act against us. This is the result of it. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I really don't care. Look at the videos. They're actually on YouTube as well. Look at some of the incidents that has been happening. There is a double standard when it comes to procedure in the police department, and the NYPD is no different. We had a whole situation in New York that proved that was forced them to change because people was getting ticked off and pissed off about it, and they showed it, and they had a huge backlash on that. You don't need to act aggressively all the time. But it's more about the simple fact is that there's that sense of fear, that sense of of stereotype thinking that allowed this kind of stuff to happen. This officer didn't need to use his weapon. He didn't. And obviously the police department knew about it in Texas as well because they fired him. If they felt that he wasn't guilty, they would have kept him on leave. They would have backed him up. But no, it didn't happen that way. And again, when it comes to police officers, I don't want to hear about this. There's no special treatment on them. They are. They investigate. They got time to put their story together. There is a whole different method on how they treat them, and that's the problem here. They're not held to the same standards as we are, and that needs to change. This is now the 7th time I've heard something like this similar happen to it. One time, luckily, the guy survived. I know he had a lawsuit and everything else, and the guy who shot him was charged with attempted murder. Lost his job. And this was plain as day how bad he handled this situation. Did I think he wanted to kill the guy? No. But there's a situation where a certain fear comes into play. No procedure was done, and I'll never forget this. They was following the car. It was speeding, whatever it was. He followed to the gas station. The guy got out the car and said, "Can I see your license, please?" Now, he's already out the car. The guy who he was following out the car, young black guy, and he heard the name, "Can I see your license, please?" He said, "Fine." He got back into his car, and because how fast he got back into his car, trying to get his license, he immediately pulled his gun. He caught the guy shocked. He was froze. He didn't know what was going on, and he shot not one, but several shots. You can hear the guy say, "I went to get my license. What the hell are you shooting me for?" And he said, "Well, you acted aggressively and everything else." He said, "I went to get my license. You didn't need to shoot me." This was on camera. It was a disaster. Now, I've said it right. I didn't think he meant to kill one of the 10 to kill the guy, but there is a certain fear. There's more fear on black and Hispanics than anything else. And that's a huge issue with the NYPD. And it goes to the very top. And I think that this is one of the main things that I think the police across the country need to start. Hey, listen. Guys can't keep acting with a trigger finger. I understand and respect a police officer's life. I understand that they want to go home to their families. I said this repeatedly. I want the officers who are protecting my city, who is protecting me, to go home with their families safe and sound. Every time they out on that beat, I cross my fingers that no one gets killed. That those boys in blue make it home to their families safe. I understand it's a frustrating job, an underpaying job, which sickens me. It really does. It sickens me that these officers get underpaid the way they do. They're putting their lives on the line and they're getting paid nearly peanuts. That's unacceptable in my opinion. But I get it. I understand it. I understand that this is an unpredictable job, that they gotta expect the unexpected. But also a clear mind, rational thinking, and not to rush into judgment also need to apply, especially when you are basically having a pistol in your holster that can be used to take out a life at any time, and it should be used as a very last resort. Now I'm gonna keep an eye on this report because again, you have to wonder. You have to wonder. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. I'd like to hear your comments on it. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it. Put it in the comment section below. Let me know. A little bit of local news from you guys for wanting to know what's going on in New York. New York had a monsoon on Friday. I almost lost my laptop, in which because the rain was so heavy it actually seeped through my bag. Luckily, I was smart enough to carry a case, but my computer was not working. I said, "Look, I gotta dry out, man. I'm too damn." um, I was actually kind of scared because I'm like, "Oh no, I can't afford to get another computer right now. Please don't go down on me." But it did. But you obviously hear my voice, so you know it's working. So, but my God, was it crazy in New York? It was raining, and they said it was going to be 2 inches of rain, but I didn't think it was going to be the way it was. We didn't get 2 inches, by the way. We got 8. And it started around 12 noon. That rain just came pouring down. I mean, nothing was safe. The crumbling New York City subway system has felt it. Which pretty much is a grim reminder that the city needs to step up their game when it comes to our subway system because it is broken. It is completely and utterly broken because there was just leaks all over the place. Leaks in Penn Station. They got their own problems. They had a sewage bust that happened 2 days prior. To the fact that the streets were just soaked. I don't care if you had an umbrella or a raincoat, you're getting soaked regardless. I went to work on Friday. I was like, please don't please don't catch pneumonia, please don't get sick, because I was just drenched. I had to wear these plastic aprons, which I don't like wearing because it makes you sweat, but I did it because I needed to suck out the water. Surprisingly enough, they actually help dry your clothes more than anything else. I had to throw out paper, which I used for my work routine because they were so wet that I couldn't even use it anymore. I had to toss everything out. It was an absolute mess. We got 8 inches of rain. That's how much rain we got. 8 inches of rain. So it was a real crazy situation in New York. There has been some incidents in New York that has also been sad for those who we had to bury a couple of family members in Queens because of a very serious fire that just spread uncontrollably. It's very, very sad because a lot of people lost their lives. I believe only one survivor out of a house that had a couple of families and children, youngest being 2, the oldest being 20. Al Sharpton was there. I think he has said some few words. It was a sad situation, especially when you heard that they had none working metal detectors. Guys, I can't stress this enough. Get metal detectors. Get CO detectors. Get both of them. You want to be alert. You want to cover all bases. You want to know where nearest windows are because it's just like that. You may think it never will happen, but boom, all of a sudden this happens, and who knows how many lives could have been saved, if any, all the lives could have been saved, if they had working metal detectors. So that's pretty much what's going on in the world of New York. And that's pretty much it. So guys, that's all I got to say about the story. As always, comment below. Let me know what you guys feel. There will be no What's News this next week. I'm actually cutting it down, but I will be back on full force the following week. There's been some projects I'm working on, so it's going to take some time to do. There will be a J&J Mondays. That's a live podcast. There will be an entertainment roundup. All the other stuff that we come to love. And until next time, J77 say take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.